I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the UP Fair, man. Hi, this is Jim Islip with MSU Extension, and this is What's Up at Uprec on January 20, 2021. Today we'll have a look at the winter feeding system for the beef herd here at Chatham.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Naasz, Farm Manager of the Upper Peninsula Research and Extension Center. Today we are going to weigh bales for the winter feeding for our livestock here. We like to weigh the bales once a week so that we know how much there is in the bale. We feed a lot of silage bales, almost exclusively silage bales, and so it's important to know how much dry feed is in each bale. So guys will weigh the bales up, they'll take core samples on them, and then they'll do a dry matter percentage on those bales so that we can calculate the amount of dry matter in each bale. And I feel that's important because in the wintertime we need to know how much we're feeding the animals, and we want to make sure that they're getting enough feed to perform the way we would like them to perform. So when we get the bales weighed, get the dry matters, we'll calculate a bale weight, and then we can determine the total amount of feed that's going out to the livestock. So when we determine how much feed the cattle need, generally go with the rule of thumb about 2.5% of body weight is what their dry matter intake requirement is, and then that gives us the total dry matter that we need to take out there. So once we get the bales weighed and we can determine the moisture content, then we figure out how much feed we need to go to the cows. We know approximately what our cows weigh. Our cows weigh about 1,300 pounds. They also have a calf on them, and that calf right now is weighing about 300 pounds. So you take a unit weight of 1,600 pounds and multiply that by 0.025, and that gives us the dry matter that we'd like to make sure the cows get for the day. So if there's 100 head out there, we just multiply that by 100. And then we know the weight of the bales, and we know if we're taking enough feed out to the cows or not. And then we also have the yearlings that get fed as well. So what we'll do is we'll weigh every week, weigh one or two bales that's going to get fed the next day, representative of the feed that's gone out for that week. Okay, so we're out here in the pasture where we're feeding the cattle, and this is where they were fed yesterday. And you know, we kind of look and see how much feed they got left, if they're cleaning it up good, and whether we're giving them enough to fulfill their intake needs and what they want. And it looks pretty good. You know, we do have some residue still laying on the ground, and it's hard to estimate, but I usually think we got about 10% waste that stays in the field. So he's coming out this morning to feed the cows again, and you can see they know what's up. They'll follow the tractor, and once he starts to feed, they'll start to eat that feed that he unrolled on the ground. So the concept here is that, you know, we make a windrow and feed this hay out all the way across the pasture, and we move to a new spot every day, and then we'll come out tomorrow and go to a new spot, and when we get to the other end of the pasture, we'll start coming back. And depending on how long the winter is or so forth, we may feed across this 2-3 times over the course of a winter. So he's got one bale fed, and with this unroller we can feed one at a time, and then we carry one on the front of the tractor. So now he's just putting the new different bale on the unroller. So these are silage bales, and we wrap our silage bales with net wrap, and then of course when they go through the inline wrapper, we like to get about 8 or 9 layers of plastic on there, and so we have to remove that before we get before feeding every time. So that's what he's doing right now. We like to remove the net wrap as much as we can, if not exclude all of it, because there have been some situations where if you don't take the net wrap off, the cows can eat that and it can build up in their stomach and in the rumen and cause problems later on. So we do a fall calving, so this is our cows and the calves. And when we talk about dry matter intake, I like to figure about 2.5% of body weight is what we need to get them to consume. And these cows weigh about 1,300 pounds. The calves are weighing about 300 pounds, so that's a total weight of 1,600 pounds per pair. If you do the math on that, that's about 40 pounds of dry matter intake per animal unit. And so we like to feed a little more of that because we want them to be able to eat as much as they can. So after we weighed the bales, we try to come out with about 4,500 pounds for this group of cows on 100 cows. And that way they can have enough to eat with about a 10% refusal. What he just unrolled here is a peas and oats bale. We tested that. It tested out pretty good. Came in at about 13.5% protein, which may be a little lower for peas and oats than what we'd like to see. We don't have knives on our baler, so it's pretty coarse. And they don't prefer this over the other feeds, but that's why we feed several different types every day. We get some good feed to them, and if we've got some feed that didn't test so good, then we'll unroll one of those bales as well. And that's kind of how we balance the ration, just by determining what bale types we're bringing out and how many.
That's what's up at Uprec. Hope to see you again next time.
Gatesville, Perrinville, Dollarville, Ontonagon, Hermansville, Allenville, Ranville, Eagle Harbor, Watersmeet, Matchwood, Marquette, Bergman, Germ.